Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how much fun I am having in the green room prior to. We have Alyssa Glutz, we have Shelby Johnson, we have Allie the fucking Major, and we have Jason the Crusher. And guys, I got to tell you, this is going to be an amazing show. Jason, guys, he's been in the business for about a year. Guess how many deals he did? Oh yeah, about 43 deals in this year by himself, doing it as a first year agent. We're going to talk about success in real estate and just having fun doing business. Everyone needs a little bit more kindness right now. So that's why I have this group with me today. And we're going to get into all of our guests really quickly. But before I get to our guests, Miss Alyssa Glutz, color my credit. What up, girl? How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I'm so excited to be here. This is my subject. I'm excited and to learn from everybody on how to be kind because it's been difficult lately. So
it has been difficult, but difficult brings and breeds success and champions.
yes,
That is where the iron is forged out of, to make pure swords. So, Shelby Johnson, girlfriend, how are you?
Oh my gosh, Greg, I'm always better around you. You have the best energy. Oh my God. And we retitled our Instagram chat today that we're BFF. So I feel like that's like a next level and I feel really good about it.
I actually saw that this morning. I'm like, I'm a BFF? Okay.
Right. So we're getting tattoos after this.
Oh, okay. I'm down. Yeah. I mean, I need another couple of tattoos. I mean, I got 7. I'm down for 8 or 9 more. Allie, girl, what's up? She is the most comfortable, laid back, successful person I have met in a long period of time. So, Allie, how are you?
The nicest way of calling me a slum. Love you, Greg.
Most comfortable, most.
Yes. I was just at yesterday I was teaching a class for the Tucson Women's Council of Realtors. And when I just get to talking, sometimes I just babble. And I was like, I love this career field. I'm a real estate agent, but I work from home. I barely ever even put a bra on. And I was like, why did I just say that out loud? And just right now, I'm like, why am I saying this aloud again? But here I am. I'm very excited.
I am not kidding when I tell you that I was at an event last week where at least 4 women in the first 10 minutes walked past me and said, I have a bra on today. And we all went like this. You do? Me too. Oh my God, it's weird. What's wrong with us?
Yeah. So Jason, do you have a bra on today? You gotta support, right? You gotta support.
Yeah, it's all about support.
So Jason, welcome to the show, man. You and I have talked in the past. I did an intro with you real quickly about how you did 43 deals in the last year. And I want to say that is an incredible feat up front. And I'm going to walk through this a little bit. I want to understand kind of walk me down the path of your career in real estate, because that is not freaking normal at all. I mean, like, you're an anomaly on a good day, right? So how do people become like you? Like, where did you start? I mean, what was your motivation? What's your mindset? What books are you reading? So many questions I have for you.
So it's my second year in the business.
Sorry, my fault. Second year.
Yeah, you're forgiven. I started off because I have a background in construction, project management, and spent 8 years working for the government in project management and just hated the bureaucracy. But having a background that was involved in real estate, and I had rental properties at the time, I just decided to get my license, and I was like, I need to be out of the bureaucracy. Like, it was just killing me. Like, it's just slow death.
Yeah.
So literally got my license, walked in, gave my notice, walked out, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. and it just, right, there was no plan B. It was like, I have to do this. So I just signed up with a local brokerage where the splits were horrible. And
fuck them, dude.
So, and they supplied Zillow leads. So that's where I started. And I just I slept with this thing on. right? Anytime one of those Zillow leads came, I would be like in the shower. I'd fucking hop out like, hello. And I had some success with those. Then I met Shelby, moved over to EXP because the splits were way better. That was like a big part of it. And then for me, like the whole community of 5 Pillars has just been like icing on the cake, right? Which has helped me kind of step up to the next level. So I did 32 deals my first year as an agent. We should close 43 this year, maybe 44, depending on if one gets snuck in there at the end of the year.
Is snuck in a new word that we're inventing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're on the same vernacular.
Yeah.
By the way, Jonathan is saying that you got huge stones. Hopefully he knows you personally. But it's incredible to hear kind of how you kind of walk through this. And a lot of folks with closing 43 deals this year, everyone's kind of complaining about not really kind of having their best year, but you're knocking it out of the park. So for Allie and for Shelby, and I want Alyssa to jump in on this, what was that distinctive difference that makes you so successful in a marketplace that people they're literally dying in the business? They're not physically dying, but they're just going away. They're going to go sell cars or be a greeter at Walmart or hug kittens for a living. I'm not sure what the fuck they're going to do, but you have been successful. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I think a lot of it just comes down to conversations, right? Like I feel like this business is all about conversations and the connections that you can make with your client. And what does that say? I can't read.
Number 1 hack, never stop communicating.
Yeah. And so one of the things, like I hate like salespeople that are like hardcore sell. And when I started in this business, I was like, that's not going to be me. And I struggled in the beginning to kind of find how to provide service without selling. Mm-hmm. And it's really come to a place where I just try my best to act as an advisor. And then I let my clients make their own decisions for them. So like we try to ask a lot of questions, like really understand who they are, what they want, what their motivators are, so that we can help them accomplish that. And we don't push them. Like I think pushing people is the fastest way to push them away. Mm-hmm. But just asking like, hey, so our options are, all right, so here's a perfect point. I literally got a text on the way home today that a deal that we had under contract they're going to back out. So I'm going to call, right? That's horrible news. I'm going to call the seller later and say, hey, they're backing out, but here are our options, right? We can go back on market. We can go back to the other offer that we had, even though it was lower. We can make some of the upgrades of the reason they're backing out. These are our options. How would you like to proceed? And the client is making an informed decision with confidence, but they're keeping their autonomy of being able to make their own decision. They're not being pushed to do something. And
so key. You have to master that. People want options, just like women. We want options. That's why we bring 500 pairs of shoes. We're not going to wear them all, but we want to know. And what's going to happen is we're going to get there, and the ones we're going to want to wear, we did not bring. And then we're stuck. So we're not going to have that happen. We want options. And I know for me as a lender, when I have to present any kind of bad, not ideal information to somebody, I'm always like, what are some options we can give though? Like, I could go something funny off that, but I'm thinking about even with my kids, the importance of being able to say, did you want to clean your room or do you want to help me with the dishes? Either way, I win. Okay. But the fact is they got options and then they get to decide, and either way is going to benefit me. So that's all you got to do is make all your options benefit yourself, and then you're happy. That's great. Being kind.
So, Allie, when it comes to options, when you stepped out of the military, right, and you stepped into civilian life, Why did you pick real estate? Because I know you're very, very, very successful as well. You followed Jason, or Jason followed you, vice versa, whatever it's going to be. But you guys both made a logical decision and a choice in life to chase this bone crushing, meat grinding business. Why did you choose that? And what about that brought you into that and saying, like, you know what? I'm going to do this with happiness and kindness.
Mm.
Yeah, my sphere was military. So being that I spent a decade serving in the Air Force, that was everybody that I knew at that point. I had, lived in 8 different states. So being that I was stuck here in Tucson, Arizona, because my wife is still in the military, so I didn't have the option yet to choose my next location, although we
Mhm.
will soon. That was everybody that I knew already, and just the benefit and the power of the VA loan. I kind of just fell into that. So I was kind of in the beginning, I was on the fence between being like a full-time investor. And as I got into investing stuff, I was like, you know what, this is great, but no, I do not want to do this full time. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And then being an agent, a lot of people in the military had their real estate agent license on the side.
Seriously?
And yeah, yeah, not
Oh,
a lot, the smart ones. That's why I
okay.
tell everyone. I tell
Yeah.
everyone to get their real estate license if they're in the military. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I'm getting too excited here. I'm knocking off my headphones. So that's how I kind of fell into it. Like I listened to a bunch of podcasts as well to see what kind of problems were those agents having. Is this, before I leave my W-2, before I leave the military and this decade of service of this, known paycheck I'm going to get every 2 weeks, which is a pretty good paycheck. What kind of problems do I want to have in my next career field?
Mhm.
So came across different podcasts, and one of them was Shelby's. And I had that in the back of my mind. Like I listened to Shelby's podcast of her being like transitioning from army, whatever,
Yeah,
to
well, we don't even
yeah,
talk about those people. Come on. I mean, come on.
to being an agent. And so I had that in the back of my mind for like over a year. And you know how when you're in the shower, you get the best thoughts. And I was
Oh,
like, you know
So
what? I was in the shower, thought of Shelby. This sounds bad. I was like, wait, maybe I should get my real estate license. And I hopped out of the shower. I told my wife, I was like, Britt, I think I'm gonna try my real estate license while I am still in the Air Force. And Britt, my wife, was like, I've been telling you to get your license for 2 years. Like, now you think that this is, first of all, your idea? So I tried it. I tried
How did it
it.
become your idea? Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that the problems that agents were having were the same problems I wanted to have. Like, I don't want to
Mm.
have. I just wanted to align myself correctly with the right people. So yeah, fast forward, I reached out to Shelby, joined the crew, and now I'm making way more money than I was and I was already making pretty good money as a major.
Well, you can make money doing pretty much anything in life, right? I mean, if you want to be a dog walker, you can make money. Depends on kind of what your threshold is. So, Shelby, when you started Five Pillars, walk me through that a little bit, and then how did Jason, Allie, and I and Alyssa kind of come into your hemisphere? Because it. And by the way, guys, if you can't see her, she's dancing. And so, tell us a little bit about Five Pillars. Tell us what attracted Allie and her amazing personality to you, because you guys crush. I mean, I love you guys to pieces, literally. And I want to understand, because a lot of folks, they always ask me, how can you join my crew of assassins that I call with? And I tell them, you can't join me because this is a very exclusive group and it has to be your crew. But you're not like me. You are opening up your opportunity to a lot of folks. How do people find that, and what do they find when they get there? Because you're full of happiness.
I am full of happiness. I'm
I know, that's why I
here.
said it.
Well, I really do like my life now, my happiness. I think I've always been a naturally happy person, but in the army, I was less happy for sure. The world of real estate is just a beautiful thing. But Pillars, originally when I started back at the end of 2018 is when the beginnings of it were coming together. But it was really just meant to be a hub for investor minded agents, primarily veterans. Jason's like one of the few who didn't serve in our group, to come together and kind of transform their lives alongside peers. Because a lot of the times it's very isolating and lonely out there for when you're trying to make waves in the universe and trying to, like, I don't know, bring magic together. It can be lonely. And so it really started as a hub, and it started as a traditional team. And back in 2021 is when we changed the model and decided to go, the EXP route. So more people nationwide could join this, as opposed to like the hyper local traditional team. And Allie was the very first non-North Carolina agent ever to join, kind of what it steamrolled the way. And so what it's become is it's really become this place where the highly motivated, growth-oriented, just cool-ass humans come together and are all building their own empires shoulder to shoulder with other people who are doing the same.
That is something, okay, you glossed over what you just said, but what you just said is something that people are missing in life. We are walking as a band of brothers and a band of sisters together, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, not giving a fuck what other people are saying. And Jason has joined that crew, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. And that is something that people are searching for. My assassins that I call with every day, we all admit to the fact that if it wasn't for our crew, we would not be doing so well right now, because we need that camaraderie. Alyssa, in the mortgage side, what are you seeing? How are people coming together? How's the kindness being shown out to folks? Because we need this right now in our universe.
I'm telling you, I'm in Arizona, obviously, and my office is really just me in our branch. And, that doesn't go very far. I can tell you, just being on my own versus joining this bigger branch that's run by a guy out of Illinois has just changed my life over the last year. It's been a tough time, obviously, in this business, but just to have the community where you belong, especially in the last couple of years I know most of the women I know that are very extroverted, that went out all the time, every day of the week, they stopped. They slowed down. They became, I don't want to go out. I don't have to go out. I'm not going to go out. It's just a very like introverted, I don't know, adapted introvert life. Do you ladies feel that a little bit? I mean, just a touch less busy, a touch less making ourselves busy and being okay with being, alone, but also understanding the power of the groups that we're in and the community we're in. And I don't think I appreciated it, the smaller groups that I'm in, until the last few years, until being on my own, but I do think that is, if you're out there right now and you're really struggling and you feel like you're on your own, and I mean, not feel, you're on your own. I mean, I really encourage you to reach out to Shelby or find a group, because there's obviously the things that we've been talking about, but the community, the level of having other people to be accountable to, that help rev each other's engines and get going again and keep that. It's also contagious, all the positivity and excitement, because it's very easy. I thought from the beginning with Jason, in my first year in the business, I crushed it in the month of December. And every lender in the office 21 years ago was walking around going, does she realize it's December? We don't do business in December. You know what I mean? Did she know? And it's like, I wanted to say to Jason, did you know you were starting in this industry in the worst year of ever? Well, I mean, it depends on where you're looking at it from, but did you have any idea going into it that we might see a little slowdown for a while here? It's not expected for you to do well in some cases. No, I bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard other people talk about it, but just kept hustling.
Right. Just kept your head down. Are you a big news reader? Are you somebody who you're constantly taking in what's happening around the world and that's important too. You're not getting distracted by what everybody's opinion is of what's going to happen next. I mean, honestly, every investor out there has said the world's crashing, the money's crashing, well, what are you going to do about it? you know?
Yeah, Jason, that's actually a really, really, really good question. Tell us one thing when it comes to mindset. When you went out there and you really started just kind of putting your nose to the grindstone, what's one thing that a new agent, a future agent, an agent reinventing themselves, kind of what does that mindset shift look like? I know from the two ladies down below here, I can ask them a question. I pretty much guarantee I know the answer. But what is your answer for just pushing through the hard, fucking, boring, monotonous, fucking, brain numbingly stupid shit you have to do on a daily basis to get to where you want to be? How did you push through that, brother?
It was really just hustle. Like, when I left so many people, because I was working for the government at a state job with a pension.
Are you a CIA agent?
Negative.
Okay.
That didn't throw us.
And with great healthcare, and so many people are like, dude, you are an idiot. You're walking away from your pension. You're walking away from all this. And I was like, I wanted more options, more choice, and not go to like just a shitty office every day to see the same miserable people, right? So it was literally just put your head down and grind and like do all the things that no one else was willing to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, at 9 p.m. when that Zillow call came, you bet your ass I was answering it, right?
Every day, every time.
At
Absolutely.
7:30 in the morning, if I was in the shower, the phone was on full volume, I would legit hop out of the shower and answer the phone. Like that, it was just literally, doing everything that other people weren't willing to do.
Okay, so here's a secondary question for that. What pushed you to get to that point of a mindset of happiness in regards to production and doing the things, jumping out of the shower, nice hot water, beautiful time, covered in soap, phone rings, you're like, fuck. All right, jump out of the shower into the cold air, and you're like, all right, hi, this is Jason. Yeah, what was driving you, man? I mean, is it kids, wife, girlfriend, partner, future want and desire for financial gain? It's just you just want to get out of the shower because it was too hot. I mean, what was it?
Well, I cold plunge, so the hot is not my.
Ugh.
so,
Okay.
so it was none of those. Honestly, it was the coolest thing that I love about real estate. It was the opportunity to really there's no glass ceiling, right? The opportunity there's no limit, right? As hard as you're willing to work. And then if you're starting, I think it starts with hard work, and then it becomes, how do you get better at your craft, right? Because you can only work so many hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it was just fucking hustle, get in front of as many people as I can, have as many conversations as I can, and shit would eventually happen. And that was how I started. And then it was like, okay, well, I fucked that up. How do I get better at it? How do I handle this next time? Right. And it was learn from each time I screwed something up to get better at it for the next time. And I'm still learning. I'm far from perfect.
Dude, there's not a fucking person on this podcast that's perfect. Are you fucking kidding me? Speaking of that, but no
people around you. There are two things I heard is that you were willing to ask questions, willing to look for guidance, and you weren't so full of yourself walking in like, I'll figure this out myself. You utilized the people that were around you, and you made sure that the people that you were utilizing weren't idiots. You know what I mean? That's kind of important. You looked around going, no, they know what they're doing. You did a little research. You didn't just go, Shelby's pretty. You looked and probably asked around and looked around and said, you know what? She's a rock star. Like, you got to decide that's the kind of community you want to be around. You know what I mean? Because you definitely, anytime anybody's ever said to you, look around at your 5, closest people, because that's exactly, what you're going to look like in a few years. I say this to my kids all the time, but you have to really think about, not from a place where if Greg was being too toxic, I would quit being friends with him. No, but you're not going to, I love you. But if I knew you could get back there, I would maybe spend some extra time with you to pull you back in. But if you weren't there, if you're not in that place, then we're going to have to limit our time a little bit more. That's okay. You have to protect yourself, guard your heart, guard your mind, and stay in that place, to stay in that place.
So let me go a little bit of a weird direction. This is for Shelby and Allie. And I keep coming back to military, right? But the reason why I keep coming back to military is because how regimented that mindset is, right? And that's something that transfers into business, to personal life, so on and so forth. So from what Alyssa was just saying, if someone was toxic in your environment prior to this current career, how would you have handled that? Would you have dealt with it sternly? Would you have just looked at it and hugged it and give it a big kiss? Or would you have kicked it straight in the taint and told it to go fuck itself? How would you guys have handled that?
Shelby.
Go.
Okay.
Anyone, please.
This is just like when Allie and I do a podcast and we're like, your turn, my turn. Okay. Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends on who it was. So like if it is someone who's above you in the chain of command, you
No, I'm
don't.
talking about mindset. Like when anything is said to you, because nobody above you in this business is above you. They
Right.
rent success. They do not own success. So I would love to hear your explanation, but I really want to understand the mindset. Like what gripped you in your brain, and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to be the nicest, coolest, most incredible, vibrational, really awesome human that I can be while staying within my lane, but then also pushing the levels of opportunity. How did you push through that?
You're talking about when we were still in the military.
Both. Yes.
Both
Give me
and
both.
now. Okay. Well, I think in the military, I mean, so much of my own personal development has happened since, the very beginning of the military, then through it, and then getting out in this entrepreneurship, so it kind of depends on the phase as well. But it's one of those things where it's like, I kind of always had the mindset of like, be a rain jacket and not a sponge, where it's like, if some shit
That's
comes to
good.
you, and it's like not what you need, just try to let it slide off and don't let it absorb into your soul. And yeah, so I think I had that mindset in the military, and then definitely in entrepreneurship as well, because there's some fucking shit storms and rainy days in this place too. But yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your
What do you do to maintain your mindset? Do you watch what you're reading? Do you surround yourself on a daily with people? What are you noticing when a toxic person's there and you're like, no, because I know how
100%.
impactful you are to me, or whatever. Distractions. Yeah.
Yes, it's all of that. And it's like, I think it goes back to like every little bit of what we choose to do and intake. And what I mean by that is like, it starts with, sleep, and then, feeding your body the appropriate way, in whether that be content or actual food. And then also like the content and the habits that you generate. So, in this group, we're all pretty big on like miracle morning, or at least I am, and I know Jason does his cold plunges and all of that stuff. So it's not just like one thing. It's like the culmination of all of your tiny habits and choices, and creating the time and space to reflect on how different interactions made you feel, and realizing if they are good for you, if they're not good for you, and how to adjust every day to make it a little better towards the life you want to live.
So,
That's so good.
Jason, the one thing I love about what Shelby just said is the fact that like you do something that people are terrified to do, and that's a cold plunge, because they're like, it's too scary. I actually jumped in my our new pool, and it's nowhere close to 32 degrees or whatnot, right? But it will make your fucking balls shrink real quick, right? And I jumped in there 3 times, and I was just like, I came out of it, and I was like, why am I doing this? And I felt an incredible sense of life after doing something that's not normal. And I was sitting there freezing, butt fucking naked, outside after jumping into this pool, but I felt alive. So how did that shift you? And Allie, I want to come back to you after this question to Jason. How did you start making yourself feel alive, doing cold plunges, doing something that people aren't used to doing? Because real estate is based around doing things you don't want to do, don't want to have to do, so on and so forth. But you embrace it and you've owned it. So walk me through that a little bit.
So yeah, to Shelby's point, like, yeah, I do a miracle morning, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because it helps me start my day with like my mind right. So
Nice.
I wake up in the morning, take care of my dog, I journal, I go to the gym, I cold plunge, I read, and then at 8 a.m. I start my day, right? So I get all that stuff done before 8 a.m.
So you wake up at 2 a.m.?
Probably 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
the cold plunge, like, believe it or not, it's all mental because it's really not that bad. I do it for 2 minutes, and I live in a lake district. Right now, I'm doing it in the local lake. So here in Connecticut in almost December, it's pretty fucking cold. But I did.
Connecticut, you go just jump in a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. On my way back from the gym in the morning, I hop in the lake, 2 minutes in the lake, and then get out.
Just voluntarily, just running, just jumping into the lakes. Okay, I like this style.
Amazing.
Although I did Black Friday deal, totally took advantage of and bought a real cold plunge. So
Nice.
in a few weeks, we're getting set up for real. But
can I ask you about the cold plunge, Jason? Not to interrupt you, but does it what if it was like 42 degrees and not 4? Does it really have to be freezing? I mean, I think just water in the morning that I jump into would be shocking. Does it have to be freezing? Is my question.
No, a lot of the research has been between 40 to 60 degrees. So as long as you're within there.
Okay.
But the thing, right, Greg, to your point, the cold plunge really does, and I think about it throughout the day. Every time I'm about to do it, I don't want to do it. My mind says, dude, that's cold. Don't do that. And I have to say, no, this is who I am. And then I just step in. And then my body wants to go like, holy shit. And then I want to control my breathing, right? Like, and then just settle into it. And it's kind of like a metaphor for, right? When I first started cold calling, I know you're a big cold caller. I would like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to tell them to go fuck myself. I'm going to get, and then it's just like cold plunging. It's like, all right, stop. This is part of who you are. This is your plan. This is what you do. Start dialing. So it carries over, if that makes sense.
It does, actually. And that's the crazy part. You bring that up. I have a friend of mine who was in the special forces. He was in the teams. He passed away. And before he passed away, he gave me a hat that says Special Forces on it. And so I wear that hat around at times, and people ask me if I've ever been in the teams, and I said no, I don't. That's not me. That's my buddy who died. And they're like, "Why do you wear that hat?" And I thought about that for a second, and I'm like, you know what? I think I wear this because it reminds me of someone who did something way cooler than I've done, and it reminds me to keep pushing to be better than what I currently am at this exact second, because that motherfucker was mean as shit. I fucking love him, but he was mean as fuck. But he had the heart of a lion. He went out and protected people. Our job in real estate is to protect people from other predators that are out there trying to prey on them. And Jason, with what you're doing, my friend, you're a protector, you're a sheepdog, you're out there, guarding your people, right? Allie, in the Air Force, what would be an equivalent association with that kind of mindset? How would you guys go about that for folks that are in the services right now in the Air Force?
The biggest lesson I think that I learned a lot in the military, but specifically what transferred over the best was being that I was a federal agent or special agent in the Air Force. We learned a lot of interviewing skills. And a lot of people think that automatically just means interrogation, right? Like bring out the waterboarding. Yeah. But you get so much more with honey than you do with vinegar. And people don't realize that. Like when you're interviewing subjects of investigations, you're not just, you play with their personality. And a lot of people, they just want to talk, and they will talk themselves into their own prison. So
well.
So like, you just hype them up a little bit. So you just learn a lot about different personalities. So it's not, and I feel like if everyone just took a couple of classes on interviewing, or like that matter, like I think a lot of real estate agents in the civilian world, just regular real estate agents, would not feel like they need to attack other agents in order to get the job done. Because at the end of the day, we're all working together. And I feel like people don't realize that, like, oh, I need to be mean in order to serve my client. And that is not the case. That's not only going to hurt your client, it's going to hurt everyone.
Yeah.
So I feel like that helped a ton. Just kind of knowing who's alpha, or like type A that just wants to talk and talk and talk. Let them talk. And who doesn't, who needs to be guided more, and guide them.
I had a coach a long time ago.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I had a coach a long time ago. When I first started this show, I was very loud, and I go back and listen to my old shows, and I literally want to throw up because I'm so fucking in your face. I go back to listen to these newer shows, and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit calmer. My coach told me about 5 years ago, he said, Greg, you're going to become a lot quieter. And I'm like, haha, go fuck off.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, there's absolute 100% power in silence and owning your space and just being quiet and letting someone else talk. The brain, I think it's like 3.2 seconds, has to bring up, that could be wrong on that number, bring up a new thought. Otherwise, it starts panicking. That's why people start continuously talking. So to Ali's point, if when you're in negotiations and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I want to bring kindness and happiness to the situation, but you're kind of being a pain in the nuts, I'm just going to shut up. And you just let them talk themselves into their own reality. So Shelby and Ali, in 5 Pillars, what is something that you guys are talking and preaching? And Jason, what's something that you've learned from these 2 beautiful women in regards to that technology, in regards to just thinking about, like, how do I not just talk? How am I silent? How am I more powerful when I'm silent? Jason, what's your number one go-to? And then Shelby, I want to go to you on this one.
So this is easy. Shelby and I have talked a lot about this. I tend to want things like, if A, then B, then C, then D, right? And it's like follow a formula. And Shelby and I have talked a lot about like the disc profile and really understanding that every person is different, and you kind of have to mold to be what that client needs. Not that you're being deceptive, right? But that you are providing information in a way that that client needs to hear it based on their personality.
Okay, so you're following, you're listening, you're not telling. And that is something that's incredibly powerful. And so, Shelby, walk me through your thoughts on that a little bit.
Well, I guess just to jump on what Jason was saying, it is listening for sure, but it's also speaking in terms of the other person's interests, which kind of, I mean, it goes back to how to win friends and influence people as well, where it's you listen, you ask enough questions to identify what is important to them, or use the disc profile to, determine based on profiling what speaks their language. Because certain people, if you speak to them in regard to like data and numbers and charts, they're going to black out. Like, that's not important to me. But if you talk about the importance of helping them get to their family in Florida and those connections and those memories that you can make, like, that will speak to them. And sometimes vice versa. But to go back to kind of what Ali said, where it's like, basically assessing, having the ability to not be so in your head, because that's another thing. People will get really in their head to follow the scripts that they can't like pull themselves out of the situation and actually like listen and read the person's face and the body language. So I don't know if I'm talking in circles, but basically we talk a lot about how to navigate that tactfully.
Can I say something about, I'm just going to say your generation, only because I feel like an old woman up here. I'm 46-year-old. But you 3, the one thing I noticed about you.
Hey.
Listen, Grandpa, listen. Me and you, let me tell you about the little young whippersnappers here. They are friendly. They have what I call kind of the Starbucks Dutch Brothers customer service training. Okay, where they know how to walk up. Have you ever been to a Dutch Brothers? They walk up and they'll be like, first thing they'll say is, "Oh my gosh, I love your nails." "Oh, I love your nails." And you're like, Me? You know, thank you. Okay. I mean, brilliant, right? With the nails. And then they start going right into, well, what can we get you? Oh, that sounds delicious. What else? Oh, that sounds good. Well, all three of you have a way about you that I would invite you to dinner, at my house, give you probably a key to my house on the first night I met you. Okay. Because
Let's go.
you have trusting faces. I have a feeling you're not going to scam me. I have a feeling from just the things that you guys discuss that you're not discussing people. You're not discussing petty things. You're not, you're interested in them, and that active listening, what Shelby was just talking about, when you're listening to somebody, but you're not just going in your head, I'm a good listener because I'm listening. I'm a good listener. No, you're actually like comprehending what it is they're saying, and you are saying it back to them, and they're clearly going, I know you're there. My mom growing up, always ADD mom, always had that moment. Sorry, mom. I love you, mom. But she'd always have that moment where she would just, I could tell I lost her somewhere. I was talking to her. I was telling her a story about the school of the day. And she'd go, uh-huh. And I go, she's distracted. She's working on something else. Right. And I go, and the frog is blue, mom. The frog is blue, mom. And she would go, yeah, it is. And I go, mom, that's my problem in life. The mother didn't listen. But I'm saying all of us, we can tell when we've checked out, when we have to read the whole page in the book again, because we have no idea what we just read. We're going to read it all again.
What were you saying? I totally lost you. I'm sorry. Can you go from the beginning? Thank you.
So it's so much more than just shutting up and being silent, but it's listening to understand, to be able to see things more clearly, right? And not just that you can check off the box that you didn't talk for an hour,
That is probably the most important thing we've talked about today. And I want to go back to Jason really quickly, because Alyssa brought up a massive point. 43 homes, second year in the business. You started listening, didn't you? You weren't just hearing the words, you were listening to what they're looking for. How did that shift for you? Because Alyssa articulated that very, very, very phenomenally, right? Sorry, I just bumped my mic. But how can people be more like you? How can they listen and hear more so that they can be present around their family, their spouse, their kids, their business partners, their clients? How did you make that shift, man?
So I would say three things. To your point of being present, right? If I'm in a meeting with a client, like, this is gone. I'm not answering it, right? And present in the moment with that client.
Eliminate distractions. Good.
Yep. Thank you. To Alyssa's other point, so Chris Voss talks in Never Split the Difference, talks about tactical empathy. You almost want to repeat back to the client what they said, that it's really important to them, until
Last three words.
They get, that's right. And as soon as the client says that's right, like, they feel understood, and they now feel like you understand them. And then, right, Shelby talked about DISC. And then now, once I kind of get an idea where they are in the DISC profile, if I'm giving them information, I'm giving it to them based on where they fall in the DISC profile. So, like, if they're a highly analytical person, I'm going to tell them, like, hey, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,400 square feet. It's 1.2 miles from this school district. Here it is. And they're going to be like, perfect. And if it's a person that's all about feelings, that's moving there because of their family, I'm going to say, hey, this is right down the road from your mom's house. You'll be able to visit them every time. You said this was important to you. So it's tailoring how I'm delivering that information based on what's important to them.
So you're like listening for keywords that tell you a story in your head of you being able to solve their problem. Like, you're listening to find where their problem is. Because a lot of times people can't even communicate it. They're like, all I know is I wake up stressed every day, and I have no time for anything, and I go this and this, and I would love to sell my house, but my house is a mess, and I'm not cleaning my house anymore. And all of a sudden you're going, that's the problem. The house, everything that goes with getting it ready to sell, all the crap that's in it, all the embarrassment she's going to have to go to because everybody's looking at her like, you're a hoarder, mom. What are you doing? But I guess all of the emotion that surrounds that, if you know that that's their thing, you're going to probably lead with that. It's like solve their problem first. Then you build that trust and you can kind of move in on what else you can do to benefit. But I'm sorry to go on like that, but do you feel that that's something you do as you kind of try to listen for the thing you can solve? I bet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. The thing you can solve. Yeah. And then almost repeat it back to them until they kind of.
You feel clear. You feel that there's the connection. It's clear.
Yeah. And then the funny thing is, like, if you really figure out hone in on what's important to them and repeat it back to them, they're like, oh my God, this person understands me.
Finally. Yeah. People want to be understood, right? Is that how you and Shelby and Allie, are you guys the same as far as when you're listening to somebody? Are you fact finding? Are you in your head kind of listening for keywords? Or like I said, are you really just trying to let it unfold and listen fully without thinking? If that makes any sense.
I definitely listen for keywords. Yeah. And I listen. Sometimes those keywords change. Actually, a lot of times those keywords change, especially if you talk to one buying party before you talk to both spouses. When you talk to both spouses, when you talk to them individually, like, it's very hard for people to be on the same page. Some people, think that they want a garage, but really they want, whatever. So those keywords will change. So yeah, like the way that I organize my stuff is I have a Trello and I just have it up at the top, like those keywords of whatever they were looking for, but also attached to the why, because their grandma is down the street, or because they're going to be working at Raytheon, and whatever it is. And that way, super up at the top, I will never be unclear as to what's most important to them. So whenever I do find a house, hey, this is just 2 miles away from Raytheon, you can bike to work. Anyway, yeah, stuff like that.
That's key though. That's key. That's key with satisfaction, is that you met their needs when they forgot what their needs were. You know what I mean? That you kept it in here. So you keep most of your notes as you're talking to people on Trello?
I do. Yes. Yeah. Especially when, because I do mainly like referrals too. So that way we share a board, we can both look at it together as opposed to each of us having it separately in our own CRMs.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we all got other stuff to do in today's life. We've been doing this for about almost 50 minutes. For the folks that are listening to us, walking their dog, chasing a cat, petting a goldfish, whatever they're doing. Jason, I want to do a couple of takeaways real quick. And Jason, I want to start with you. Can you give me, I want everybody to do 2 takeaways. What would be 2 things, Jason, that you would actually, you know what? Fuck it. We'll do 3. Tell me 3 things that, looking back for half a second, what are 3 things, or a book or a piece of advice, anything that someone else can glean off of and make their life better coming in 2024 and beyond? So Jason, we'll start with you.
I'll give 2 books that have had a big influence on me. I already mentioned Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. The other one is Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say. There's a lot of overlap in the 2 of them. And those have had a big impact on how I communicate with clients. You had to go and add a 3rd one.
I know, I'm a dick.
Yeah. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's a good one too. Yeah.
Okay, phenomenal. Allie, what are your 3 takeaways?
For additional resources, I'm also going to list out a couple of books or like podcasts too, because I'm a huge reader. The book that I read that changed my life the most came at like the perfect time when I was in the military, miserable, just no autonomy over, where I was living and my career path. So The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I know this is probably like overstated, but that changed me forever. Yes. Oh, the 4-Hour Workweek. That's my favorite book. But let's also listen to podcasts, because that's how I even like got into the business, figured out a little bit more of the insight. So this podcast, and then the Agent Goldmine, like my podcast, it's listening to like the what are people struggling with? What are the type of people that are successful? Like, can I be like Jason Boyce? Can I be like this person? Like, and feeling that, getting that sense of maybe reassurance, or maybe the opposite. Like, hey, I think I can do something like that. I think I'm willing to step out of the shower at this point in my life to, take on a client. Or maybe it's something like, maybe it tells them no, like this, maybe real estate is not for me. And at least I know now, before I got my license, before I joined a team, before I whatever. So those are my 3 resources.
I love that. I love that. Shelby, what are your 3?
3 resources. I don't know. I heard the question as not with resources, but can I just tell you this is like a tip. Can I just give a tip?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No resources for me. I wrote down, I was looking at my books and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just say what I want to say. Okay. Well, I would say, like, if I was starting again now, or what I am doing now as I look ahead, is being a lot more strategic with where you put your energy and the decisions you make. Because in the beginning, what I did is I'm very big on like jump and I'm gonna figure it out on the way down. Like Allie did the research, figuring out, I didn't do shit. I was just like, real estate, sure, fuck it. And so now what I would say is, like, as I look ahead, I want to think about, if I do this action, what will be the result of that action? Whether that be like, if I post this on social media, is it speaking to who I want? Is it going to generate the result that I want? Same with like all marketing, but also like if you're getting into the industry, like asking better questions about that strategy. So it's like, people are like, oh, you want to get your real estate license? What's it like being an agent? Every agent's going to be like, for the most part, be like, oh yeah, it's great, from that initial instinct. But it's not until you ask deeper questions. No, what is your life like? When you wake up, what do you do? What do you actually spend your time on? I think so kind of that's like one chunk. I know it was a lot of things together, but like basically being more strategic and going deeper in your planning. If that made sense.
Yeah.
I blacked out, Greg. Sometimes that happens.
It makes more sense than you can possibly imagine.
Boom! Oh.
Yeah, bitches, yeah. What's up? But asking better questions, that is one of the most uniquely powerful things you can do that I have found in my life, which I'm sure folks will do. With Shelby, you've done, Allie, Jason, Alyssa, we've all done. Asking better questions, getting curious about being curious. Never, ever, ever stop being curious. Because in Allie's case, when she was talking about, basically interrogating people without the waterboarding, until that gets really fun. And it's a joke. But here, the thing is that Allie was trained, and so was Shelby, to ask questions. And then ask the question of the question. And then once you ask a question, go 3 deep on that question. Understand the root cause of that comment. Once you go 3 deep on anything, like Shelby was talking about, you all ultimately will get to the core want, need, or desire for that human being. And once you understand that is where you become a service individual, and now you're providing value. So what everybody has said, Alyssa hasn't talked yet, but we're going to let Alyssa get to this in a second. But I mean, think about that for a second. Just think. When's the last time you asked a question, then ask 3 questions deeper to understand the root cause of the answer of that initial question? Therefore, there's the root cause. Yeah. Alyssa, what would be your 3 takeaways?
I was going to mention that Chad, my boyfriend,
your boyfriend?
Chad, yes, Chad had a few ideas too. So we don't want to not include him. Okay. But I will say the one thing about kindness, just from a very organic place, I'm not trying to brag about this either. I'm very careful, try not to talk about what I did, but my daughters are 14 and 16 now, but probably when they were 7 and 9, we started playing this game that when we went out, I would tell them, hey, if when we're out today, let's see if we can find like 5 people that we like something on them. It could be their shoes, it could be their nails, it could be their outfit, it could be their smile, it could be their laugh. I mean, let's just find and let's tell them. Let's see what happens. Let's tell them that. And so we started playing that game. And it would be amazing to watch people who were like, I was next in line. I think she cut in front of me. And my little, Brooklyn would reach out and be like, I really like your dress. And she would immediately be like, oh my gosh, no, go in front of me. No, go in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm just having a day. Give everybody a little bit of rope. Maybe they just never had maybe they just haven't had anybody say anything nice to them lately, and with the word of the year for 2023 from the Webster's Dictionary, being authentic, be careful that you're not authentic. I told my girls, look, I want you to give the kindness. I want you to find the 5 people you can say that to, but I don't want you to lie. I don't want you to make up stuff. If it's nothing that you can find pretty on this woman or whatever the case, there's got to be something because everybody's got something. So you just haven't looked hard enough. It could be their smile. It could be their laugh. It could be something that's not physically on them. But I will tell you, my girls are 14 and 16. And to this day, we don't actively play the game like I announce it. But everywhere we go, I notice it. I see where Brooklyn, or more my younger one, she uses it to start conversations with people. She just actively, constantly is pouring out when she likes something. It's a trained brain. She goes out, she goes, I like your nails. And it's always, a girl at the movie theater with 5 different hairs and has nothing to gain. She has nothing to gain from that person. And she just wants to make her feel a little bit better about her day. And to me, we can learn so much from our kids. And I feel like if we approach people from a childlike place, then kindness will naturally follow. We'll come from that place of not being mad and irritated about what they're not doing and what they are doing. But you can come from a place of, look, that person was a child at one point too, before the world threw things at them, before the world tore them apart. They were just like you and me. So when I had a boss when I was when I was in my 20s that I had a lot of resentment for in my 30s. But every time I would think back on him and think about him as a 5 or 6-year-old little guy who got beat by his dad pretty bad. And I think about that kid and I couldn't be mad at him. And so it does definitely change your heart in the way that you approach people. If you can think about the journey they've been on, the life that they've been on, and understand we're all here for each other. We're all human, we all have our days. And you would just be so surprised the people that you right now are mad at or resentful or angry. If you thought of them as a child, if you approached them in a childlike way next, you'd be surprised to how they might bring their guard down and maybe quit being so mean to you.
Everything happens for 3 reasons: a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Those are the things that are going to impact you no matter what your life experiences are. In here in Northern California, there's a comedy club, multiple comedy clubs called Tommy T's, right? And it's a big, like, if you want to go see comedy, you go to Tommy T's. Like, that's the thing, right? And I was at the dog park yesterday, and I posted on my Facebook and Instagram about this. I'm sitting in the dog park, goes back to Alyssa's point here. And I'm kicking a ball with my dog. And you know what? I'm talking to this older gentleman next to me on the bench. And he's got an old ass German Shepherd. And they both just don't look like they're having the best day on life. Lo and behold, he is Tommy T. He started this fucking franchise. And I'm going like, what the shit is how in the fuck am I actually talking to this guy? He's cool as shit. He's going through some stuff. I'm not going to talk about it in his personal life, but he was just another dude. So when I was talking to him, go back to Alyssa, when it comes to the child mindset, I wasn't trying to game him. I wasn't trying to gain anything from him. I was just talking. I was being a human, just talking. So next time you guys are talking to somebody, they could be old, young, ugly, fat, skinny, tall, thin, black, white, Mexican, dog, goldfish, doesn't matter. Guess what? That human being, that person, they have a story. They have something to share, something to give. So in real estate, when it comes back to being kind and giving kindness, show it in your daily life. Because when Tommy told me that, I was blown away, and I was like, "Holy shit! How do I have this ability and this opportunity to meet someone at this stature, right? A fucking dog park." And it's because we connected on basic levels in life. That's where we all start. That's where we all stop. You guys were all born single. You're all going to die single. All right. From dusk to dawn. So start thinking about that. Start giving. Stop taking. Start being around people, not just existing amongst them. When you see somebody, God damn it. Why am I telling this story? There was this guy. He was a homeless guy. He's sitting in front of Safeway. And something about this guy caught my attention. And I don't know why I did this. I really don't. But I saw him and I walked up to him and said, "Hey, brother, how can I help you?" And he's like, "Oh, man, I'm really hungry." I said, "Okay, what would you like?" He's like, I would like a roast beef sandwich." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Everything on it?" "Yeah." "Anything to drink?" "Yeah, I want a Coke." So I walked around the store and I picked up my other things and I teared up.
Don't start with me, man. You'll get me crying.
He had a look in his eye that was desperate beyond belief. Not like I need a water. I'm talking desperate. So I went and bought him the biggest Coke I could. I bought him a sandwich, everything on it. I bought him a bag of chips. And I said, "Hey, brother, here's 25 extra bucks. I don't know why, but I want to give this to you." And he turned around and he just started crying. That is the definition of someone needing kindness. We all have that ability every day of our lives. What are you going to do with that opportunity? So it cost me 40 bucks, right? But what did that 40 bucks buy him? Did it buy him an extra day of life? Did it buy him the opportunity to be kind to somebody else? What is your kindness going to do for somebody else? Start thinking about it that way. Your life will change, I guarantee you. Go out there and be Shelby, be Allie, be Jason, be Alyssa. Pay it forward and be incredible. On that sad note, let's jump forward and keep going on a kick-ass day. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Shelby, where can people get a hold of you? Allie, get a part of Five Pillars. Tell us a little bit about that, any kind of upcoming events or anything else you guys got going on. You're muted. There you are.
Oh, all right. Well, perfect. You can get in touch with me on the gram. It is The Shelby Show, and you can go to Five Pillars Nation to check out our website or see us on the gram, Five Pillars Nation. We have events going on all the time. This Thursday, actually, Allie is doing a business breakdown. This is live, right?
No,
So,
we're never going to show it anywhere. No.
Oh, okay. Well, then no one gets to come to Allie's business breakdown. I've been letting, people outside of the community come because it's Allie and everyone wants to know how she's running her business. So if you do want to come, let's all go make her feel, she never feels weird. Clearly, look at how comfortable she is.
So comfortable.
And Jason's also done that in the past. But anyway, Five Pillars Nation and The Shelby Show and events and all the things. That's it. My turn is done. Next.
Awesome. So Allie, what's up?
What's up? Yeah, people can get a hold of me on Instagram. I live on Instagram. It's Allie the Agent, Allie spelled ALI, or alliegarced.com. That's where you can find some more resources about what we offer as a crew.
Guys, go follow both these beautiful, incredible women. They are so intelligent and so honest. You're going to love being around them. That's why I'm attracted to both of them. They are just it's like the core group of human beings you want to be around. Jason, where can people find you? How can people send people referrals to you? How can we get in your hemisphere?
Yeah, so I'm in Connecticut. You can find me on Instagram, jasonboyce.realtor. And if you want to watch us jump in the lake, there's quite a few Instagram videos of us doing that too.
And boys and girls, that's for all of us fellow dyslexics. That is BOICE, by the way. Jason Boyce, go check him out. Alyssa Gletz, Color My Credit. Where can people get in your world?
Come over and visit me Monday, Wednesday, Friday on TikTok, 11 a.m. on Monday and Friday. And then noon. I'm going to come in right after this on TikTok next. And then colormycredit.com. You can go there. And then I'm also going to post what Chad talked about, his 5 key points about kindness in the comments. So check that out. Okay.
Absolutely. Jason, Allie, Shelby, Alyssa, God, I cannot fucking fathom a better crew to roll with today. You guys are absolutely insane. Thank you so much. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Boys and girls, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, follow the podcast, give me a like here and there. You know, that really helps out the channels. But we will see you guys on the next podcast. Until then, peace out, ninjas. We gone.